Welcome back everyone, got this Trek on the stand today, never been serviced. I think it's around about 5-6 years old. Both brakes non-existent, fork lockout's not working, gears are not fantastic. So quite a lot of work to do on this one, let's get stuck in. So we're on a 1x system here, so there's no front derailleur, but you can see the state of this. It's, well, I'm not going to touch it with no gloves, but yeah, pretty grim. Chain is on 1%, so that's going to get changed and hopefully get away with this cassette. We'll try that. Tyres are actually okay, and all the bearings are okay as well. All the big bits are actually not too bad. Ball and bracket actually feels pretty good, but we'll get the chain off and have a look at that. Let's check the gears, see if they actually do anything. Everything just feels so stiff. Kind of works. Tecto hydraulic brakes, but both levers are pretty much to the bar, so they're not doing a great deal at all. So have a look at that. And we've got the usual damage to this axle here, so it's really difficult to get the wheel on and off. So we're going to actually replace this with a new unit. We can tidy this up potentially, but I've got a new unit anyway, not a Maxwell. Slightly, well, I want something that's half the price of a Maxwell because these are very expensive. It's actually got Hope wheels on here, so I don't know if it's been upgraded when it was bought or something, but very nice wheels on here, so that's good. And the bearings in these do feel very, very good. Super smooth. Headset, however, feels horrendous. So we're going to look at that as well. Quickest way to do this really is strip it down to the bare frame, get all the bits on the table, and just put it back together again with new bits where required. So new chain, new brake pads front and back, new axle on the front, probably some new headset bearings as well. I'll chuck a new gear cable and housing on here as well. It is internally routed in the frame, but it's not the end of the world on this one. And I think I'll put a new dropper cable in it as well. It's 7 minutes past 9, let's go. Not bad. 9:15. Getting slow in my old age, sorry. Anyway, stripped a bare frame, not too bad. Don't worry, this is not clamped very tightly. Actually, I've not took the bottom bracket out, but that's 2 seconds with the right tool. But yeah, needs a hell of a clean. It's just easier. You can see that's what, 5-10 minutes work just to get down to this frame. And then we'll just put it back together. It's not too difficult at all. There's a slight bit of internal cable routing there to there. Did try and put a liner in there, but it failed. But it's an easy one to get through anyway. So random bit of sticky tape holding something down here. Some random cable port. I think that's for a front derailleur actually. Yeah, we'll see if we can do something a bit better with that. Let's just whip this out as well. It's disgusting. So that lower headset bearing just fell out, and it's got a ball bearing in the top and a cartridge bearing in the bottom, so that's a new one on me. Anyway, we'll change both of those because they're pretty rough. It is a semi-integrated, so worst case scenario, you can knock these cups out and fit a complete new headset, so we might end up doing that yet. So I'll just give it a damn good clean before I do anything. I'm just going to clean this seat post up and put this temporarily back in. We are going to run a new cable for the dropper though. Just clean this up. I did tell the owner he's going to get some grief in the comments for the state it was in, and he's stuck it on the chin. We are going to grease it, don't worry. Just come back out, put a new cable on there, so that's just temporary. Alright, now we can get back in here. Where it should be. I don't think this is going to polish up particularly well because it is in a very sorry state paintwork wise, but we'll clean it best we can. I think it's a matte finish at the end of the day anyway, so they never look good. They look good in the showroom, that's about it. I'm not a fan of matte paint. 2 bearings, lower bearing, upper bearing. Let's get these cups cleaned up, get these fitted, get the fork back in out of the way. I do want to service this fork, but I'm still waiting for a service kit. It seems to have got lost in the post, so temporarily I'm just going to drop it back in here, get it out of the way. I'm just going to take this split race off first. It's a hell of a lot of wear. Look at this, that's cable wear on there. Wow. Right, I'm not going for a full grease yet because we are going to take it apart again when I take the fork out, if the service kit ever arrives. So the only reason I put that back in is so I can sort out the dropper cable, gear cable, etc. And then hopefully drop this fork out later without too much disturbance. Feels super smooth now, obviously. Like I say, we are going to take this back out when I've got the service kit for this fork, which is lost in transit somewhere. So just to do this gear cable first. Got a chain link sellotape to there, so we'll put that somewhere safe for him. Sensible. Take this cable out. The inner's actually in pretty good condition, but it felt super sticky, so we'll put a new cable on it. And the outer's in 2 pieces. It does go down to the frame and internally without a liner. So we're just going to cut 2 bits for that as well. Just going to get some lube in here as well, because these clicks are not particularly positive. Just work that in. Put a guitar on it. Ding, ding, ding. Right, that sounds a bit more positive. Stainless steel die drawn cable. The best. Put this little cap back in. Just got half a turn to hold this in, basically. Goes in there like that and clips itself in there. 2 new pieces of outer. I'm just going to run these through. I'm going to get this cable through the frame, but it shouldn't be too difficult. So that runs through here, and then I'm going to get it out the other end. I did try and run a liner when I was taking it apart, but it got jammed up and didn't work. The easiest way, first of all, is to use gravity. So just get this the exit port here lined up, so the cable will fall directly towards that, if anything. Kind of there. So all that's going to do now, if you look at it, this cable's going to go down there and point very closely to that port there, so you shouldn't be too difficult with this one. Yeah, I can see the cable down here, so it's not a million miles away. Just going to get a pick and flick that in. So if you use a pick with this little 45-degree here, you can easily get that through there and just hook out the piece of cable that's visible down here. So let's just get that. I can't see it. It's there. There it is there. Not too bad. So that one just seats into the top there. This other piece just runs along the chainstay there. Just get that kink out. It's way long enough anyway. Just thread that through there. Again, that just clips into the bottom of the frame like that. This was cable tied on, so I'm just going to add some more cable ties back into place on there. Keep this one out of the way. 2 more down here, and then go to the derailleur when we get that back on. Today's delivery's just been and gone, and no sign of this seal kit. That's well and truly lost, I think, which is frustrating. And we'll just loop this up until we're ready to put the derailleur on. Just keep it out of the way, like that. So that's one bit done. We'll clean this bottom bracket shell up now, put that bottom bracket back in. So it's actually functioning really well, it's just disgustingly dirty. Lovely. Spotless there. Right, I'm not going to waste my time trying to make this thing look shiny because it's too far gone for that, unfortunately. It's going to be function here over form. This is no garage queen, this is a used bike. Grease in there now. Lovely and clean there. Basic Shimano unit. I'm just going to give it a clean up because it's, like I say, the bearings actually feel really good. It's just a bit grotty, so clean this up and we'll put this back in. I'm just going to add a little bit of grease to this seal here where it meets in the middle. So Junior ratchet. Nothing different to a normal ratchet, to be fair, but it looks nice. We can have a shiny Facom one. Beautiful tools. They're not bicycle specific, but they're fantastic quality tools. Absolutely phenomenal. Relatively few bits on this bike, really. Bottle cage. The chain link will hide somewhere. This axle we're going to replace. Well, I'll show you how to repair it, but we are going to replace it anyway. And then just a 1x chainring. So I'm just going to clean up this chainring crank. Put these back on. Derailleur. We need one of those. And the derailleur. And obviously this derailleur, it's got a clutch in it, so we'll have a look at that as well. Clutch off, clutch on. Actually feels pretty smooth still. If you put a clutch on and you can feel this all notchy like that, then you need to service the clutch. We're putting a new chain on as well, so don't need this. Right, we'll strip this down, put it in the ultrasonic, and I'll scrape the worst of it off and put this half in the ultrasonic as well. Just give these a clean and drop these pedals off while we can as well. So that will come out that way. Always easier to take the pedals off while it's still on the bike. I just like making it awkward for myself. Might actually have a look at servicing these SPDs. Don't do very many of them, but yeah, why not? Let's have a look at them as well. I mean, the customer says it's never been serviced, but it's a 10-speed bike and this is a 12-speed chainring, so someone's had to go at something at some point. He's having me on. Never mind. It's in desperate need of some attention, that's for sure. Especially on the brakes. Well, they didn't do anything. So you'll get away going to a 12-speed chainring on a 10-speed chain because the chain's obviously wide enough. You won't get away with it doing it the other way around. You won't get a 12-speed chain on a 10-speed chainring. Put this derailleur down a little bit, or a lot. These new jockey wheels, look at the state of that. Wow, have a look at this clutch as well. Take that off, then we'll take this out here. Take this screw out first. I have covered this in a couple of other videos, so I'm not going to go into too much detail here. I'm just going to blast it apart, get this screw out there, like that, and then just unwind the derailleur very carefully, because otherwise it's going to rip your fingers off. Take that spring tension out, then we can take this out. Spin that out. And this bolt comes out the middle, that's the important bit. This is the bit that gets seized up. That'll come off there. That spring will come off. And that's about your lot, really. And we can just throw it in like this. Don't put the clutch in the ultrasonic, but everything else can go in as is. I'm going to put all that in the ultrasonic while I look for some jockey wheels, and then we can start to look at putting it back together again a bit more. That's all done. I actually put the cassette in at the same time, almost forgot. They also put the bottle cages in, because they actually come up really well when you put them in. Plastic ones. Don't put carbon in there. Anyone know what this is for? I do. It's never used, but I know what it's for. It's for setting the clutch tension. If you look at Shimano's manual, put a Torx key in there basically, and you can set a specified tension on the clutch. Right, I'll just clean the rest of this up, and then we'll have a look at putting this derailleur back together quickly. Just quickly throw this back together. Like I say, I've done this in a couple of videos, so I'm not going to go through full details. It's absolutely freezing in the workshop today. I've got a heater on, I've got a hat on, everything on. Like that. That's the important one. Get some grease on this pivot bolt. That goes in there. Through there. That's the critical one that you get grease on, that one. You don't get grease on the inside of this bit, because that's where the clutch sits, and you don't want grease there. So you get that screw in there without ripping your finger off, because you're still holding the spring tension off at the moment. Make sure that's tight. Like that. So one of these will be marked up as G pulley. This is not, this is the lower one. And it's directional. Somebody explained to me what difference directional jockey wheel makes when it's such a basic thing like that. I can't see any difference whatsoever. Put the G pulley on, that's a tiny bit of grease in the centre there. Tight on these as well. Just screws in there. The direction arrow is there, and basically that follows the direction of the chain when it's being pedalled, so it'll go that way there. That's that bit done. Grease here for the shadow for this clutch part here. So you basically just wedge a screwdriver in here, and that'll just drop out. And then you only want grease on this outside surface, you don't want it in the middle. This is just a very, very light grease. I'm not sure if you get away with maybe a free hub grease or something similar, just a light grease, very light grease. And all you want is on the outside bit here, like that. And these will basically drop onto there. You got one little rectangular peg just to get it lined up. And drop that on there. Jiggle the derailleur around a bit, and it'll just drop in like that. And make sure you got it the right way around. You can feel that engage there. You can actually feel it bite down, and that's super tight. Nice clutch. And that's it. Looks a bit rough and ready, but functionally it's perfect now. New jockey wheels, all the pivots been greased, clutch has been done. There's no wear in any linkages, so that's good to go again. It's got a few wall wounds though, but I can go back on the bike now. Bit of grease on that pivot. Just drop this back on. Make sure it drops onto its B tension stop there, like that. Put a little bit of downward pressure when you tighten that, otherwise it kind of walks itself back up the drop out. That's up. Good. Add some lubricant to the pivots, because we've obviously ran it through the ultrasonics, there's nothing there. Put this cable back in. Don't kink it. Like that. Pretty obvious on this one, but if you get this to the wrong side of the bolt, you got issues. Basically your gears don't work. So make sure your gear lever is in the highest gear position. Nip this up loosely. We're going to probably make some adjustments to this yet, so don't go too tight yet. I think that gear lever looking promising. Right, we'll leave that as it is for now. We'll come back to that later. Put the chain set back in now. Say chain set, it's just a ring. Make sure you get some grease on this. Don't put a crazy amount on there, because you can see what happens as soon as you put that in. Basically it scrapes it all off. So that's most of it comes straight off there, so don't go crazy. So otherwise all that happens is you get a big lump of grease stuck down here that just attracts a lot of dirt, so just a little coating. Bit of grass still stuck in here. Gone now. Chuck the left hand one back on now. Obviously make sure it's perpendicular to the other side. Add the preload cap back in. It's only plastic, so make sure you get it lined up properly. This is a great little tool, this one. I can't remember who makes this one, but what you're doing is pretty much hand tie like that. That's what you're doing. What we're trying to do there is basically take any lateral play out side to side on this chain set. There won't be any there. And that's it basically. Then you've got a safety cap here which has fell out. Okay, interesting. Where's that? I need to order some more. I think these came from AliExpress actually, because they're super cheap compared to the UK. So to get this in, you're going to have to take this back bolt out, but to get that back bolt out, you have to basically undo these evenly, because otherwise it tends to sort of seize itself up. So get these out. We'll get the back one out. So tight. Right, that'll come out now. Come here. So that's out. And then this safety cap can go in there now. Basically, we've got to get that bolt through that hole. Can be a bit tricky, this can. Interesting. So that's interesting. Looks like this crank's been helicoiled at some point. There's the remains of a thread there. So that needs repairing as well. Okay. Nothing's ever straightforward, is it? This is where a 2-second job ends up as 20 minutes. All adds up then. There's the broken piece of that one there. That's why I couldn't find it. The other bits fell out somewhere. That's the old broken bit of the old one. Someone's had a go at this. I'm going to put this other bolt back in. We'll see what happens. So that plate I've got is actually a road one, so it's too small for this, unfortunately. I have tightened these up and that thread is completely dead, as suspected. So rather than messing around fitting a new clip on there and helicoiling that, whatever, you can buy a complete new unit at the moment for £12. So that's what we're going to do. I'll just order a new one of those, complete new unit, comes with a plate anyway, and just replace this one because it's in pretty poor condition anyway. So we'll leave this on as it is for now, just so we can actually set up the gears, and then it's a 2-minute job just to swap that over when it arrives. Clean this caliper up, I'll put new pads in it as well and get them bedded in. Yeah, so I've ordered a new crank. That's £12 at the moment, absolutely insane price because it's Black Friday at the moment. I'm not sure when you'll see this video, but that's way cheaper than I can get it from Shimano. So just £5 just for the safety clip, so you can get an entire crank with that thread obviously not damaged for £12. No brainer, I think is what you call that. So I didn't realise that MCF10 is actually a 12-speed chain set, so it looks like the whole thing's been changed at some point. Whoever's changed it, I mean, there aren't dogs doing with fitting that crank and stripped it out. So, unless Trek specified this with a 10-speed cassette and a 12-speed chain ring, but I don't know. Right, just leave that slightly loose for now. Whip these pads out. These are going to come out at the bottom. They're pretty low. The new pads. Drop that back in there. We'll get these bedded in later on the bedded in machine as well. This is just being cable tied back on as it was. I can't fit all of them yet because I've got to fit a new dropper cable, so I'll leave that for a bit. Like so. We are chopping and changing a bit, but like I say, we're waiting for parts now. The worst part about this job is it's impossible to keep parts for absolutely everything. It's literally impossible. So quite often you get through and you're waiting for a very small part and you've got to wait 2 or 3 days for that before you can continue. But there's plenty more we can do while we're waiting for the fork kit and this left-hand crank. So we'll continue. Next up, I'm just going to replace this dropper cable. I may as well for the price it is. These do tend to get a bit corroded inside and not work very well, so we'll just drop a new one in. It's just a gear cable, new housing, straight up there basically. Disconnect from the lever. And just cut the end of the cable off there. I'm still using these 2 pre ones, trialing them for you guys, but so far I've been massively impressed with them. Super sharp. £6 I think they are, £5. Crazy. Just take this cable out, there's a 3mm at the top just to hold, and you undo this 2mm there, and that basically holds the cable. Pull the dropper out. I'm not servicing this, it's actually working really nicely, it's just a cable. So this just connects to that mechanism there basically. The gear cable that sits in this little piece here that clips into the bottom of the lever. And the housing, I'm just going to cut a new piece. This housing will go up here and obviously straight out the top of the seat tube. Straight out the top, that's not difficult. Drop the new inner cable through that. 99% of problems with droppers are caused by cables, so if you have any issues, get a new cable in there, inner and outer. Almost certainly fix it. Alright, so that's all we need to do with that. Hook that to the bottom of the seat post with some grease on it. Alright, super critical you get grease on your dropper post because these seize up so badly. And this basically just clips into the end of that. If I can get it lined up. Like that. And we just pull the inner cable through to get some tension on there basically. Until it locates itself in there, because this needs to sit in there like that basically. While you're inserting it, just keep pulling tension on the cable down to where you want it to. I think we're about there before. I'll sort that out later. I'm still pulling this cable now basically. Then we can route this back up to the lever. And through this piece here that will come out. There's basically two little grub screws together there that lock the cable in. A bit fiddly these are. And then we have got a barrel adjuster on here to adjust the tension if need be, but try and keep that fairly tight, and then we just tighten these two screws against each other. This one's got a 3mm one side and a 2mm on the other side. And it just basically pinches the cable. That's it. That's what you need to do with that. Feel that lever, that feels like it'll work. Then we'll get this back on the bar. I'll cut that housing to the same length as the old one, but it feels a bit short to me. We shall see. So that one will go there, and that one can go there. Pretty sharp curve on that, but that's how it's designed. And this final one up here, it's just long enough. You can go through the 90 and it's not catching. It's still got some slack, so I'm just going to cut this behind the lever nice and short. This is where these EP ones come in really well. You can get it right behind this dropper lever like that. Give this dropper a quick try. Yeah, perfect. So on these wheels, I'm just going to clean these up now. I'll take this rotor off just so I can get in there and give it a good clean, because these are nice hubs. These are very light wheels, very nice actually. So I'll just whip this off. There's no way these wheels can be standard for this bike. Very nice Hopes. Complete Hope wheels, and not just hubs, they are rims as well, so they're very nice. Big fan of Hope. I don't think Hope make anything that's bad. Right, I'm just going to give this a good clean and we'll get it back together. I'll have to ask the customer how these wheels came to be, because like I say, there's no way the bike came with these. So we've got a spacer on this one here. Get the cassette back on, bit of grease on there first though. Cleaned up perfect, that is, as suspected. Chain was at 1%, so I'm hoping we get away with this cassette. It's impossible to tell really until you try it, unfortunately. These smaller ones here are the one that are going to give you issues if you've worn it too much. Some cassettes you can buy just these lower 2 or 3 sprockets as replacements, because these basically take forever to wear out compared to the smaller ones. But you tend to find the price is prohibitive just for buying 2. You may as well normally buy the whole cassette, which is not very environmentally friendly, I guess. Sort this up to 40. That's 40 there. Click. This rotor back on. Drop a Loctite. Get these back in. Okay, we get this wheel back in. Chuck a bit of grease on this first, I guess. I'll set that quick release exactly right. Right, I'm just going to trim this cable before I chuck it in the spokes. Bend that out of the way so we don't get caught in the spokes. Shimano chain going on. So Shimano 10-speed chains don't have quick links. They have connecting pins instead, but as long as you fit it right, they're fine. Take the slack out of the chain so you can get it in there like that. So this pin basically pushes in from non-drive side. Yeah, a bit fiddly. Like so. And then it gets pressed in from the non-drive side coming this way. Which is a bit difficult because the wheel's always in the way. Make sure you keep it flat in the chain tool, that's all. I know a lot of people are not fans of these, but touch wood, never really had any issues with them, to be honest. Right, you'll feel that, just stop there. You'll feel it just ease off, then you just stop and just use the end of your chain tool. Break that off and make sure you've got no stiff links. No pedal at the moment, so we'll just use this workshop one and give these gears a go, see if they're going to behave. 10-speed normally not too bad, with a fresh chain and fresh cable I'd expect this to be pretty good. First thing to do is press this without pedaling, nice and hard. I've just felt that cable totally bed in there. All this slack at the back, that pinch bolt wasn't quite tight enough, so just redo that again. Make sure you're on 10th there, and your lever's obviously in 10th as well. Again, just nip it up, a bit tighter than last time. Like that, and we're just going to do that shifter again. So literally click, click. Then you get to about that one there, it'll be pretty tight. This one there, you'd be really optimistic to get another one, but all you're doing there is basically seating all these plastic housings in, and then just release it back down. See what it's like. That's one lever. I think it'll actually shift even without an adjustment, so let's go. Not quite. So that H screw is a little bit out, it's coming out too far this way. quite a lot out actually. H is this one here. I'm just going to screw that in until that noise goes away. Like that. If we get up here and we've got issues, then we'll check this derailleur hanger. Because 9 times out of 10, that's why that needs adjusting. Well, it's not going up there. Because we've moved that, we've got a bit more slack, but we've got the barrel adjuster, so I'll just use that for now. So unscrewing the barrel adjuster, 3 or 4 turns. Once more. That's up there. Right, so it's not going up to L as well, so but L and H are out, so this derailleur hanger's bent. Never come out of adjustment. The only reason you need to do it is because this is bent. So because I've already had to do that one and it's not going up to L, this is 100% bent. So I'll need to readjust that H obviously as well, but that's fine. Right, I'm just going to take this off. I am going to do a video shortly on setting up gears, and I think you'll find it quite interesting, potentially controversial. I've got some ideas for it. So let's see if we can get this on camera enough. This is the, again, this is the 2-pre one from AliExpress. This has been going strong for 4 years now. £20 instead of £80, £90. It's exactly the same thing. Absolutely amazing value for money as well. Screw it in, then you've got a little rubber band on here. Push that into the rim itself. Good practice is to use the valve as a reference point. I know this wheel's straight, so I'm not going to be too stressed about that. Set that one there, pull it out, drop it down and line the rim up again. That's actually cock on there. More we like this way. It's actually straight as well, so both screws were out of adjustment. That's a change. Right, your hanger's straight. Wow. I would be convinced there that that was bent. There's always a first for everything, isn't there? So we know we need a bit more on L already before we try it, so I'm going to give that a couple of turns. And go back up there. Back down there. And then go to L. She's up. Alright, before we do anything else, get the wheel nice and slow, and then we're pushing this over with your finger or your thumb, trying to literally push this into the wheel itself while you're pedalling slowly. Pushing that really hard, and if that drops off the back of the sprocket, you've got too much adjustment on the L screw. It's really important you do that. And see if it will go down. Yes, it does. It's Shimano. Oh, they're working lovely. Shimano for the win. My new brakes are working nice as well already. I've not even bedded them in yet. Awesome. Right, the back end's about done apart from waiting for that left-hand crank. We'll have a look at these pedals. I'm just going to put some fresh grease in these SPDs. Don't normally service pedals, but SPDs are so straightforward. It just literally takes 2 minutes. So you need a special tool here. This is the Shimano TLPD 40. It's been around forever. It's a universal tool basic for SPDs. Just slips on that collar there. And if you check the collar, it tells you which direction to undo this. That tells you how to tighten it, so obviously going that way. This thread here is the opposite to this thread here, so just be careful. So just clamp that pedal in. Just aluminium jaws lightly. Drop that onto the sleeve. Then you just undo this with a fixed cup spanner, 36mm, basically. And that's it. That's the axle unit there. To be fair, these pedals are pretty much brand new, but we'll put a drop of grease in there anyway. And all you do is basically pump some grease down the bottom of the pedal, screw it back together, and it forces the grease back out the axle. But these feel and look almost brand new. But we'll just drop some grease down there anyway. But that's how you do it. That should be more than enough. Drop this back down, and it'll just force the grease back through that axle. And then we tighten that back in the opposite way to what you took out, obviously. Super easy these are. Right, so all this grease now will start to come out of here as it's forced its way through the actual bearings itself. And it needs to be very tight. You saw how loose it was when I undid it, so pretty much there. And that's just fresh grease there, just wipe that off. Job done. I think SPDs are pretty much bomb-proof, almost. Mountain bike SPDs, and I still remember using them the first time back in the day, many years ago now. Once you get used to them, they're fantastic. It's such a difference to power transfer. Probably not critical, but it just feels like the right thing to do. More for corrosion resistance than anything, because this spray is really good for corrosion inhibitants. That's a big word, isn't it? Then go back on the bike now. Obviously put some grease on your threads first. Not much I can do on the front. I can put the brake on, but I'm only going to end up taking it off again when I do the fork. Just before I start work on this fork, I want to take a minute to thank this channel's ongoing sponsor, sportandleisure.com. Sportandleisure.com are a UK-based cycling retailer with thousands of parts, tools, clothing and accessories ready to ship. Their listings are clear with proper descriptions and really good pictures, which I really appreciate after dealing with so many other sites that are not quite as good and a little bit hit and miss. So if things are listed as in stock, then it's actually in stock on their shelf, ready to ship. Order before 3 PM and it will ship the same day. UK shipping is free on all orders. But if you need it faster, then next day delivery is only £2.50, which is really, really good value. So whether you're after some new wheels, brakes, group set, check them out. Their prices really are pretty much unbeatable. So they've also given me a discount code for viewers. So if you use the code BCR10 at checkout on your first order, you'll get an additional 10% off the already fantastic prices. A bargain. The link's in the description below. Thanks again to sportandleisure.com for continuing to support the channel. Now let's have a look at these forks. Just going to quickly drop this fork out and we'll give it a service. Like I say, it's a super basic fork. There's no air spring in this. It's literally a coil spring in here. An oil damper there with one key to lock out. That's basically all there is to it. So there'll be oil in there for the damper, and a little bit of oil in here for the sliders themselves, and just the seals to change really. So there's really nothing much to this one. Pull that out first. I have 2 bolts down here that are quite well recessed. Loosen them off a few turns and then just give it a bit of a tap. And you'll feel it come loose basically. These should just come off now. There you go. So the stanchions look okay actually down here. There's some slight wear. So all we're doing is cleaning these up, putting some fresh oil in the damper, changing the seals and the foam washers. So there's a spring in here, so undo that. That comes off and there's the spring there. Like I say, there's no air in here. It's literally just a big coil spring, so you don't get much more basic than this. Oil damper, we'll take that out because we need to check the oil, change the oil and check the level of that when we put it back together. Don't even need to do this bit. The basic service is the lower leg service where you're changing the fork seals and the foam rings basically. Check your manufacturer's recommended service limits are like 50, 100, 200 hours. That's obviously riding hours. But as this bike is oldest bike 5 years, 6 years, it's definitely never been done, so there's a good chance it's certainly hit that level. So this bit's full of oil down to about there, which basically is the damper. Oh, there we go. Some O-rings in here you've got to get past, so just wiggle them out. So it's basically just a load of shims down here. When you turn the knob there, the damper is controlled by there, which opens and closes the amount of flow available basically. So there is some oil in there, but nowhere near enough. Right, I'm going to let this drain for 5 minutes and then we'll give it a good clean. So all we need to do now is get these fork seals out. They're normally pretty easy. I just use this massive Pedro's tyre lever for this, which is really good for it. And it just normally just pops straight out like that. Normally it's a bit easier on the floor, but I'm just showing you for the camera. It will come out. Half the other side of the workshop. These are the foam washers that you need to change. These are pretty much stuck in there. They've been there that long. Bone dry as well. They should be impregnated with fresh oil. So give them a good clean. It's been hard to get my camera in here, sorry, but I'm sure you've seen this 100 times before. I normally use this wooden dowel. Just get right in there. I hope you can get your cloth out again. Right here, it always comes out. There you go. Always use something wood or plastic. Don't put anything metal down here, obviously. Just repeat that until you're happy with it. In the meantime, you need to start soaking your new foam rings. Just let them soak in there for 5 minutes. So a shout out to Race Ready Suspension who supplied these. My normal supply was out of stock, so I got these at a great price pretty quickly. I did pay for these. They're not sponsored, but I did pay for them. So thank you very much. This damper shaft will come out now. There'll be an O-ring on here which we need to change and some seal ring. And again, that's basically a hollow tube now. So again, just repeat, clean this as best you can. So on here, this piece will just pop off and you get a new one in the kit. When you're turning that in the bottom of the fork, all it's basically doing is closing up a valve in there. And again, changing how much oil can get it through the fork itself. It's pretty basic. It's just an Allen key basically. So that's fully open at the moment. So on the damper, we also need to take this off. There's a little plastic lock ring. It just pulls off. Like that. And this is a seal head in here. It needs to come out. And you need to push that all the way out the top of the fork. And eventually you'll get that out there. So there's 2 O-rings in here, that one there, and there's one on the inside. Both of those need changing. Use plastic picks if you can. SRAM's website, their instructions are very, very, very good. Super detailed, loads of pictures, you really can't go wrong. So this is not a how to service suspension fork, it's just a quick overview of sort of things you might expect when you get in there, but always go by the manufacturer's website because they are really, really good. Yeah, they give you a complete new unit in the kit actually. That's the result. A bit of grease on these. Right, once that gets going, you can easily tap that down to the bottom of the fork then. Push that all the way through, and then you get a new clip as well, and that just clips on there basically. You press down at the top bit at the same time. There you go. That just locks that in there as well. All that one does is guide that spring through it, down through here basically, so there's not even an O-ring in there. So I think we'll leave that one be. So a new piston glide ring in the kit as well. So you need something like a plastic dowel that goes through there so you can get the other end of it on there like that. And that just helps you guide it through. And that just pops through there as well, like that. Make sure everything's spotlessly clean. Like I say, you can see a different shade here where there is wear on this stanchion, but if you see massive grooves and scratches, then you need a new fork basically, but this one's okay. 2 O-rings on this damper, one here and one at the top as well. Basically all suspension servicing is just changing a bunch of O-rings really. Like I say, just follow the manufacturer's instructions because they are pretty damn good. So make sure you inspect this piece here. There's a, we call it like a rubber insulator, basically a bit of heat shrink there. So they actually did change that, but as long as there's no wear on it, then I really don't see any value on that, to be honest. It's literally just a heat shrink. If it's been wearing on the inside and you've got a damage on it, then you would change it. All right, just add some grease on this when you put it back in. A liberal amount. There you go. I'll drop it in there. Got to get it out the other end as well, which is always fun. Yeah, and I'm just using this plastic piece to get it lined up. Tighten this one up. It goes to about 14 Newton meters, but like I keep saying, it's just a spring. I'm not trying to keep air in there. It's such a basic fork. Well, I've just done this one off camera because wow, that's a very, very, very fine thread, and it's so easy to cross thread. Got it eventually, but Jesus. Right, we're in. That was nearly a disaster. Sorry, I had to switch camera off to concentrate. Right, all I was doing is basically adjusting the pressure on the spring there. Okay, now we get the damper in. First of all, we need to put oil in here. So we don't want it locked, we want it in the open position, which is that. Then we need 122 millimeters of 5-weight oil. Fork will still work if you get this wrong, but the lockout doesn't work particularly well. So if your lockout's not working very well, then you probably need to top up the oil. You can't really top it up though. I mean, you can chuck in a drop at a time and keep trying it, or you could just service the fork. Right, that's definitely more than was in there before. Like I say, now you've got to get this in here, and then because you need this open so the oil can basically work itself in here. If you have it closed, it's basically just going to piss out all over the floor. So a bit of grease on here first. Just wiggle it in, past the threads, and then you'll hit the oil like that. And just take your time. Like that. And then you just screw this one in straight as well. Hopefully this is a slightly better thread than the other side. Jesus, that was a challenge. So I've just refitted that, that's open, and you can still press this in. Push that over to lockout. That's rock solid. Good, right, we can move to the legs now. So just get your foam rings that have been soaking, put them in first. They just drop into the fork like that. Put your new sag ring on before you forget. Right, so these seals need driving in now with a driver. Use these Junior drivers, they're fantastic kit. So 30mm, this one here. All you do is slide the bushing over there like that, put that into there, and hit it with the hammer until it bottoms out. Normally going pretty easily. You can push these in by hand sometimes. Right, that's in, that's bottomed out there. Drop this one back in a second. And that's that in as well. Just make sure they're flush all the way around, which they are. And you can go back on the fork now. There's the fun and games of getting this to slide on here. If you take these springs off first, it can make life a bit easier. Just put them on the legs. They're not too bad. Once you get them lined up, they go on easy normally. Put them on there. Make sure you get the fork the right way around. And then just drop this on. Pretty easy, that one. Right, so just slide them on, pull them back a little bit because we need to get a squirt of oil in the bottom of these legs. Then we can put the bolts back in, we're done. Again, just check your instructions as to how much oil you're going to put in here. This is asking for 10 millilitres on the spring side, 6 millilitres on the damper. It'll be different weight, different amount, and then just slide this down basically until you can get your bolts in. and torque these to 7.2 Newton meters. 7.2 Newton meters, as you requested, Mr. Schramm. Like that. Then your rebound adjuster goes back into its hole here. It just clips in with its O-ring as well. There was 2 clicks I forgot to show you, but make sure you check where these are set to before you take it to pieces. Final wipe down, and these go back in the bike. I'll just put these back in now with the new headset bearings that you've already seen, get them greased up, and I'll continue from there. So I'll put it back in, grease in there, tensioned up, obviously there's no play in there, just get it aligned with the wheel. One thing I forgot to mention is just make sure you pop these springs back onto these seals, and that's it, let's continue. New crank. There's already some grease on this axle, so just drop this straight on. Torque these up now. Can't stress highly enough how much you've got to do these evenly side by side. Just tighten one all the way and then try and do the other one. You've destroyed it. That's on. And put this other pedal back in there. There is grease on the thread. To the observant among you will notice I fitted the wrong jockey wheel to this as well. This top jockey wheel is the incorrect one. It is a 6000 Derailleur, but there's a GS and an SGS. And apparently they've got different jockey wheels. I didn't notice that, but I just put the top one on now because it's a much higher tooth profile on the G pulley on the GS Derailleur. So yeah, that's only one on me. I thought they'd both be the same, but GS, SGS, they're different jockey wheels. Same picture on the box, different jockey wheels. So I'm just going to change this G pulley on this one, and that'll be correct. Still working perfectly as it is, so how much difference it makes, who knows? But I'll stick it on anyway. You don't need to take the whole thing off. You can just easily change this one in situ. Do you like my new pointy stick? I couldn't resist it. They look quite cool. I'm out. Right, there you go. Again, a bit of fresh Loctite on this bolt. And the new and the correct jockey wheel. Yeah, every day's a score day, guys. And that's it. Correct tooth profile now fitted. How much difference it makes, who knows. Let's quickly run through the gears, but it shouldn't make any difference. Potentially a tiny difference in the B-stop. It'll only be these top 2 sprockets, if anything. That's fine, that's fine, that's fine, and that's fine. Good. So we're looking for a 6mm gap between the top of that jockey wheel tooth and this sprocket tooth here. So we're around about 6mm there. But that's all your B tension would do, but don't go too close because you'll hear it rubbing on there. Too far away, your shifting's going to be poor, but that's about where it should be. We're going to look at this RockShox Maxle. This is made by Schramm RockShox. So basically it's a quick release, but it's quite a clever system. So that's in its lock position. Obviously you unlock this there, and then you use this piece of the handle here to go into these flats and basically unwind the through axle there. And then again wind it up. And then the normal cam action itself locks the wheel into place. That's adjustable with a screw in there as well. So you can adjust the position of where that will lock into. But what happens is it's made of aluminium, obviously, and these parts get damaged very, very easily. So does this. And then every time you try and lock it in against this, it basically just cams itself out, and eventually it gets to the stage where it's very difficult to get the wheel out. You can repair them. You can basically file this into a new square section here and here, or you can cut an opposing square section here and here. But it's not ideal, and you can also see this lever has been damaged as well. So even if you did that, there's still a chance it's going to do this. So we're going to change this one out. They are very expensive, so the customer's not massively fussed by having a quick release, but I found a slightly cheaper alternative. These are kind of like £50, so very expensive. They are good, don't get me wrong, like I say, they all have this, they all develop this eventually though. So we're going to go with a normal quick release on this one. So normal through axle. So I'll just take this out. I'm going to clean this wheel up and then I'll refit it with a new one. So we'll use this, it's basically a through axle with a handle on it really, so you can position this when you get it in there. I'll drop it in, I'll show you. Obviously get some grease on it as well. That centre section is lower than the rest, that's why I've not greased it, because it's not going to touch anything. So it just drops in like a normal axle, screw it up with this handle until you're happy with the level of tightness, then you can pull this out and position it to where you want, so just crank that down a little bit more. And obviously you don't want to leave your axle in this position, you want it flush with your fork up here, so you just pull it out like that, and then it will click back into the position you want it to. Super easy. So these are pretty good actually. I'll leave a link below if I can remember. If not, just remind me, I'll drop a link for you. But that's a decent replacement and probably less than half the cost of a Maxle, and still easy to get the wheel out. So I've cleaned the rest of the wheel up as well, and I've also put some new pads in this front caliper as well, so we can get these bedded in now on the cinter. Just to show you can just sort of relive a bit more life out of these. You just file this into a square edge again basically. And you'll get a bit more engagement there like that then. Obviously at some point though you're going to run out of metal, but it'll get you going for a bit longer if you need to do that. Just file a fresh edge onto it, and obviously you've got a silver edge now as well, so drop of paint probably won't go amiss. So I quite like the kit, but it's just a bit soft. If they'd have made it out of something a bit stronger, it would have been nice. And obviously you can't really repair this piece on the lever because it's just basically missing there now. But that's got quite a good engagement on that now, so if you wanted to do that, that'd get you going for a bit. I also put a new piece of slightly better shaped tape on there. It's not much better, but it's better than it was, I think. And just a random bit of tape. Let's not forget this all-important chain lube. Obviously there's no quick link on this, but you will see the pin basically where it joins. It's a different colour. That one there, I don't know if you can see that, but it's a different colour. So basically just start there, one drop at a time. See if I can stay out of the way of the camera. So just start there, and then one drop at a time. So after I've oiled it, I normally just shift the chain up and down the block. Shifting nicely. The reason I do that is because this has been in the ultrasonic. Potentially some parts of this cassette are worn through the plating and would expose basically raw steel, so that's given them basically a light lubrication now to prevent that. That's the only reason. There's probably nothing in it, but I just like to do it. I think you'll agree that's shifting beautifully. Once we've done that, we just take off any excess lubricant. Spotless. So you've probably seen this before. I've made a complete video just about this fantastic machine. What it's designed for is bending in new brakes, basically new pads, new rotors, whatever combination you're fitting. So what you need to do is select the program. So on this one we are on 160 regular 2-piston for the rear and 180 regular 2-piston for the front. So there's two different programs we're going to use. Program A for the rear wheel first. All it is basically a small dyno. It goes through cycles. It tells you when to put the brake lever on, when to release it for cooling, and it goes through that several times, and then the pads are basically 100% bedded in. So I'll just do that. It's quite noisy, so I'll just fast forward through it. If you want to check that video out, I'll put a link below for it. So we'll do the back one first. Alright, then we just change the program for B for the front one because we've got a slightly larger rotor, and obviously we're doing the front wheel. Let's do that one. Hope you're enjoying the music, by the way. Done. Hellishly expensive, but fantastic bit of kit for a professional workshop. It really makes a massive difference. You don't need to go out in the rain. It don't matter if you're too small for the bike, too big for the bike. You don't want to fall off on an expensive bike. And at the end of the day, it does a much, much better job than sort of tootling around the street, dodging traffic, bedding brakes in as you go sort of thing. There's no hills around here before people say all you need to do is jump on a hill. It's just pretty much flat here, so this is the answer, guys. It's fantastic. Well, this is a bit awkward, isn't it? This is not the trick. Customers collected that bike about 2-3 weeks ago. Editing the video yesterday, realised I've not filmed the outro, so you'll have to pretend this is it. But anyway, the bike came out pretty well. Looking through the edit yesterday, yeah, gears are working beautifully now, brakes are working. The dropout nearly caught me out, didn't it? Customer actually owned up to doing something to the left-hand crank when he collected the bike, so that was the mystery solved on that one. Forks were locking out, brakes were fantastic. Yeah, it's a bit rough and ready around the edges, but I think he's actually doing some sort of races on it as well, so it does get a hard life, but it's got a few more years left in it yet anyway, so that's the important bit. So I hope you did enjoy the video. This one's not getting filmed, it's just what's in the stand at the moment. If you did enjoy the content, please consider hitting that subscribe button. It really does help the channel. Like, share, hype even, the new hype feature. I don't even know what it does, but apparently it does the videos good, so click that button, guys. Thanks for watching and stay tuned for more.